arrested.
Yes.
And were you arrested also?
Yeah.
Okay, now I know y'all can't get all into the case, but what can you tell us? What give us what you can. Tell us your name again.
Johnny Thompson, arrestee number 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty much I can tell you what we have been cited for, which is Penal Code 409, which basically is failure to disperse at a riot.
At a riot.
At a riot. And as we have already said time and time again, there was no riot. In my personal opinion, things really didn't start getting shaky until the media came, and that's when, in my opinion, when officers started to pretty much play these.
They started to perform.
Yeah, it turned into a big Hollywood performance. That's a little unfortunate. So, especially with the media, that's all that they got. That's all that they took. We were trying to get media there since maybe 11 o'clock that afternoon when we're peacefully, marching in the streets, when our neighbors who were, disrupted were honking in support for us, and no one came out then. So all that is just a little interesting
so
in itself.
The media sold you out, huh?
Who's surprised?
News stories.
Right.
Yeah. What were you going to say?
Oh, what I was going to say is just my experience was one of, like I said, camaraderie and support, but also...
but no, you're arrestee number 3?
Number 1.
You're number 1.
Yeah,
you're the first one to go down.
Okay.
Okay.
I felt like a little kid getting kidnapped. They came up from behind when I was tying my shoe. I was like,
are you
people
serious?
thought I was doing something honorable, but yeah. But
and just snatched you.
Snatched me.
Wow.
With my clothes. Wasn't even my sweatshirt. Alan Prince, shout out.
They snatching black folk like it's 1852 or something.
Yeah,
Chucking on the ground.
So you were charged with the same thing?
Correct. And one of the things that, we wanted to talk about what happened March 4th, but also, the purpose and what, the information that we wanted to spread to students, but also given this venue, spread to the general public.
Please
which
spread
is, we are about problems and solutions, and a lot of people don't want to hear, oh, there's a problem, we have a problem over and over again if they don't know there's a solution. Well, if we raise awareness about both equally, then we can go and attack it and ask questions why and get, brainstorming on a mass scale. But the problem is that education is a priority for America, and that this does stem, into the higher realms of the hierarchy of our government, and that we're in a war has been taking place for seven years, the Iraq War, and California by itself has spent over $32 billion, and this is the funding and the misallocation of funds is the problem. Not necessarily, we don't want to be seen as fighting against healthcare for funds and fighting over crumbs. Now, what we need is a value system that is representative of the community, not just the elite, the ones with money that they will never spend. So, that's a problem. Is a corrupt value system. The solution that we see is A, spreading the word like we're doing right now. Is B, encouraging people to vote and encouraging the power and what informing them about who the representatives are and their duties and what they should be doing for them, and also spreading publicity for bills like Assembly Bill 656, which is the oil severance tax bill, which would tax oil companies for money for education. And California is one of the largest producers of oil, one of the largest states producing oil who does not do this. California has the world's 8th largest economy, and for us to be looked at as the vanguards, we are slipping hard, and we're going to fall behind.
You're listening to Some of Us Are Brave here on Kpfk 90.7 FM in Los Angeles. My name is Tanda Sizwe Shumaringa, and I'm speaking with a grip of students from Cal State Northridge, some of whom were arrested during the March 4th day of action. Kenya,
yes.
You wanted to say something real quick, and please, I think you wanted to say something on. Introduce yourself again to our audience.
Okay, my name is Kenya. My name is Kenya Khan. So one of the things that I wanted to make clear is, as we discuss the media and the influence of the media, with our protests and our day of action, you know, they did a really good job of spinning it like it was a student versus police issue, and that couldn't be more wrong. You know, let it be known and clear from the CSUN 6 and the student leaders in the room that our enemy is not the CSUN, is not CSUN. We were not fighting against CSUN. We weren't fighting against the police. You know, we're CSUN is trying to become more than a drop in the bucket for the fight against you know, these draconian budget cuts to education for the state of California. We are one of many campuses that had that decided to display their frustration through their First Amendment rights on March 4th, and you know, I just wanted to make it clear, you know, in a lot of the YouTube clips or blogs that are out there, and the media, you know, representation, you know, even after we tried to clear it up, we held a press conference on March 5th, the day after the protests, and called the media out. One of our first demands that we listed was we demand an immediate apology from all media outlets who misrepresented the events of March 4th as a student versus police action and represented the students as unruly and not behaved. As you can tell, we're a group of seniors and juniors, you know, highly well-spoken, educated young students, and out there that day it was a rainbow of students just alike, whose anger aren't displaced. I know where to place my anger. I know how to shout loudly, and I know who to shout to have my voice be heard and my concerns be heard. So that's all I wanted to clear up.
Okay, so finger over here. Say
My
your
name's
name.
Terrence Stewart. Kenya basically said a lot of what I was going to say. The students were not actually, you know, against, like, you know, like, our fight wasn't with the police, basically. And what I saw, you know, during the black students and the other minority students that was actually out there, well, I should say, after hours, you know, during the duration of the protest, was that the police targeted the minority students. It wasn't necessarily when, well, I'm gonna be real here. When the students were sitting on the intersection, it was the majority white students on the intersection. What they did was they got up and they moved in with the masses. Now, once they had gotten up, the police started progressing towards the students. There was half of the officers were on, you know, the African American students, and the other half was just standing around us. We were doing the same thing. This wasn't an act of, you know, black students, white students, or, you know, Chicano students. It was all unity. That's why I was saying, you know, it was a rainbow of activism during that day. And while the police were, I would say they targeted mainly the minority students.
Students of color.
Basically. So even when you look at what we call the CSUN 6, those who got arrested, we was all doing the same thing as peaceful protests. Like I said, or like Justin said earlier, he was just tying the shoe, and what they was doing was picking out the leaders. That was,
which is what they do.
Right. You know, like they did with Malcolm X and, you know, Martin Luther King. You know, they're trying to take up the leaders.
Get you young.
Right. So basically, I felt a little racism towards the police officers during that day, and being a black student on that campus and the mass history that CSUN has with black students, I felt that it was, you know, I had a sense of pride in what I was doing, but at the same time, there was some kind of there was racial entities with the police authority.
No doubt. You and Estella, say your name again. You had a comment that you wanted to share with us?
Yes, my name is Keshana West, and I want to bring attention to that day in the streets that they made comments about how students were not, there were a lot of tag-alongs. People didn't know what they were talking about. They were just there just to be there. And I want to bring attention to the YouTube videos that on every picket line, not picket line, I'm sorry, every poster that they had, it mentioned the class cuts, the teacher furloughs, Assembly Bill 656. They were well aware of the knowledge that why they were fighting for what they were fighting for. It wasn't just a group of kids wanted to pretty much just be in the light of on the streets at night.
Okay.
So.
Stella, you were not out there